All right, welcome back to COSN 10, folks. Professor Almeida here. Hope that your weekend has been treating you well. And in this announcement video, I want to talk about week 6 starting on Monday, which, by the way, is already available to you. But before we get to week 6, there are 2 housekeeping items I want to talk about. The first one, let's make sure that we are all staying caught up in this class. You do have a suggested schedule in your syllabus. If you go in the syllabus and take a look at the last page, you'll see that there are certain days of the week that topics are covered. Now, it's suggested because we're online and we don't have any scheduled class meetings, but if we were in person, that would be the schedule we're following, okay? So make sure that you're taking the time out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, go over the module, study the material, do your checking understandings, go through the labs, and so forth. Okay, you really don't want to fall behind in this class, especially since we're going to be winding down soon. Also, week 6 is going to be pretty busy, so you want to make sure that you get caught up as soon as possible. Okay, second item, I've been getting some questions related to module 11, okay, subnetting. Subnetting is a learning curve. Honestly, I struggled with it when I studied for my CompTIA Network Plus way back when, and I know for a lot of people it's a challenge, okay? If you take the time to study through the concepts, to understand where the numbers are coming from, and you practice, hopefully things start to make more sense. Now, I do have here Packet Tracer 1155, and I want to go over this quickly with you. Okay, so for 11.5.5, in this scenario, you need to create multiple subnets out of 192.168.0.0/24 to meet the following requirements. Basically, you need to create 4 subnets, right? You have 2 subnets and 2 spares. Now, this /24 here, this basically tells you that you're using 24 out of the 32 bits, right? Remember, IPv4 addresses are 32-bit. Okay, so the subnet mask here for a /24 is 255.255.255.0. So, how are you going to create this subnet? What kind of subnet mask are you going to need? Well, the answer to that is in your hints page here. Okay, so for 11.5.5, you're going to create a /26 subnet mask. Okay, this is the SIRE notation here, which tells us we're using 26 out of the 32 bits. And this is going to give us the 4 subnets. Now, /26 means that we're borrowing 2 bits in the last octet. So anytime you're dealing with IPv4 subnetting, or let's say you're taking a certification exam and they give you some scratch paper, the first thing I would draw out is that table as if you were converting between decimal and binary. If you remember that table, you had 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1, right? Or 2 to the 7, 2 to the 6, 2 to the 5th, 2 to the 4th, and so forth. Okay, so you have that table, and then you would put your 2 borrowed bits, right? 128, 64. So since that last borrowed bit is in the 64 column, that becomes your so-called magic number. Okay, well, what does that magic number mean? Well, if we take a look here, you'll see that the network IDs for each subnet increments by 64 in that last octet. Okay, now as far as the subnet mask goes, well, it's just like what you've been doing with your decimal to binary conversions, right? You take a look at your table and you add up the ones. In this case, 128 plus 64 gives you 192. So that last octet is going to be 192. Okay, so I hope that this helps you out here. And then for 11.7.5, you're creating a /27. Okay, now we're borrowing 3 bits. The magic number here is 32 because, again, if you draw out that table, you have ones for 128, 64, and that last bit is in the 32 column. And you can see here how that last octet increments by 32. The subnet mask, 128 plus 64 plus 32, that's going to give you 224. Now, as far as how to configure things, a quick and easy way to figure things out in your Packet Tracer labs is to go into check results and then assessment items, and you should see a checklist of things to be scored. And that should cut down the time on what needs to be configured. So for example, with 11.7.5, right, with 11.7.5, you just need to configure certain router switches and PCs. You don't need to do all of them. Just look at what needs to be configured. And as a matter of fact, they even tell you in the instructions. Okay, so I hope that helps you out there. All right, 5.5 minutes into the video. Let's get into week 6. What do we have going on for week 6? Okay, so here's week 6. Let me pull up the syllabus real quick. So on Monday, I would cover Module 14, the transport layer. You do have a check your understanding. And then we have Packet Tracer 14.8.1. This is practically a freebie. And you should simply take the screenshot in the Assessment Items tab showing that you did it. Okay, this should be a freebie for everyone. Okay, get those 10 points. Module 15, the application layer. Okay, you want to cover this on Tuesday. And then for Wednesday, you want to go over your Net App Communications exam, which is already activated, and that activation will expire on July 24 at 11:59 p.m. And then finally, you have your netsec fundamentals, you have your check your understanding, and then 2 Packet Tracer labs. So as we get toward the end of the modules with these Packet Tracer labs, this is where you're basically putting it all together. Okay, you do have that cheat sheet, but if you get stuck, right, if you get stuck, you can still ask each other. You can go online. There's plenty of other places where people go over the Packet Tracer labs. You can ask me, okay, but please exhaust all of your other options first, because again, you're going to be expected to know how to properly configure the Cisco equipment, especially if you pass this course and then you go on to earn your certificate of completion. Let's say you put that on your resume. Don't be surprised that you find yourself in a technical interview and you're being asked about Cisco iOS. I've had some former students come back to me and tell me that, you know, it happened to them. You don't want to get laughed out of the interview room because you basically coasted your way through this class not really understanding what's going on. So make sure that you're taking the time to understand Cisco iOS commands. You know how to do basic switch and router configs. Okay, make sure you practice on these things. All right, that's pretty much it, folks. Have a good rest of your weekend. Take care of yourselves out there. Let's make sure we're getting caught up, and I'll see you all online starting Monday.